Welcome to the Charity Show Bites, our brand new bite-sized series. Short, snappy, and here to keep you going between our main shows.
That's right. Think of this as your charity sector espresso shot. Quick, sharp, and hopefully energizing.
We'll be chatting about something topical, reacting to your comments, and maybe throwing in some sort of random charity trivia along the way.
And today we're asking, how many hats do you wear? In other words, what requirements have you had in your job that weren't exactly in your job description?
So we put this question out on LinkedIn and our other social channels, and you didn't disappoint.
So let's get into it.
Right then, Piers, before we dive into what everyone else has been talking about in terms of the extra jobs and things that they've been doing, got to talk a little bit about you and I. We've been around for quite a while, different charities and different jobs and so on and so forth. How many hats do you wear or have you worn in the past?
Well, I reckon it's about 37, to be honest, Tim. About 37. The strangest one, and the one that I just had to jump into, was made me feel very, I don't know, a bit of a shiver. But it was a colleague of ours as a trained masseur. So every year, as many charities do, we sponsor the London Marathon. And at the end, in our reception for runners, for our sponsored runners, we'd have a massage station. So my colleagues there doing all the massages, out of sight, all very discreet. We started to get all the runners coming in at the same time. They hit that certain mark, all of them come in. So Matt peeks his head around. I was like, I need some help here, So I became, for the next 2 hours, the charity's marathon massage booker. Not exactly in my job description.
Okay. So you weren't, let me be clear here, you weren't hands-on.
I wasn't hands-on, no. But my eyes, it's burned into my eyes, the image of lots of our sweaty runners having a massage. But at the end of the day, it was great. But yeah, here's me with a booking form, running around. Yeah, your massage a bit here. Didn't quite think that would be it when I signed up for supporting them on that day.
Brilliant. We've all done some crazy stuff. I'm trying to think back.
So many.
I know. But I think that's part and parcel of the joy of it as well. I think it's just getting stuck into stuff like that. Not necessarily dealing with sweaty runners all the time, but random stuff. I made a little list here of things that I got involved in. To have a look through over the years. Lots of sort of randomly acting in videos. So I'm not an actor. I don't act. But over the years, I've played various parts and roles in terms of. I remember back when I was at the YMCA, having to like act out like I was being trained by a personal trainer, and I was some kind of physical exercise expert and knew how to use all this equipment and everything, and was being trained how to do it. I hadn't got a clue what I was doing. I just did what I was told. But yeah, acting in various videos. I think I also had to play the part of me and a colleague of mine from my team had to be married couple who plays tennis in a
very
holiday.
Specific role there.
Yeah. So I remember I spent ages sort of knocking this ball around the tennis court and getting filmed for it. So that's very amusing. So yeah, that was a funny one. Anything else?
Films. Yeah, a lot of films. I played young dad, old dad with some hastily applied makeup. Obviously,
nice.
I went into the method acting there, and that was all well. One piece of film that I'm glad I can't find, and I did dig out when we were discussing this, was I had to do an internal staff charity keep fit video for about an excruciating 90 seconds or so. It went down really well.
You can't not share that now. We've got to give the people.
It's lost. It's been lost.
We've got to give the people
only the
what they
memory
want.
that burns bright.
I'm sorry, we're going to have to dig that out. I'm going to have to contact your colleagues. Someone's got that somewhere.
Someone somewhere. Nothing you do in the digital world goes forever, does it?
Yeah.
Oh, those were you dread.
Yeah. Have you ever had to get the family involved? My kids have modelled merch for the firefighters charity over the years.
Oh yeah.
I look back on sort of old merchandise catalogues, and there's my kids aged sort of 5, 8, various years.
I can recognise some hands for some bangles. I can recognise a leg for some socks. Yeah, I think all of us in the sector do that. We're all roped into things like that. So you will appear on film. You will be dragged into assembling some sort of equipment you've never done. We've had inflatable arches that go on our twilight walks. I've become the inflatable arch mechanic many years in a row. So everyone gets pulled into these things, don't they?
Excellent. On photo shoots, I always end up being the man who ends up holding the heavy lights. So the photographer's there taking ages setting up this shot and going, just angle the light really, a little bit more up, higher, as my arms are just slowly dying as I'm holding this extremely heavy lights. So I always end up being the guy who holds the heavy light whenever we do any sort of photo shoot.
Roadie. You're a third sector roadie, basically.
Actually. I remember seeing a picture of you, and I think it was a celebrity shoot or something, ending up holding a bowl and being just out of shot as you were holding a bowl for a celebrity to do something.
We took over comedian Hal Crittenden's little kitchen to do one of our bake sales shoots. I was on one knee as well, and you know what it's like? Well, it takes forever to set up a shot, doesn't it? I don't know how photographers do it, really, with their patience. It takes forever to get everything right. So I was literally on one knee for ridiculous. I think I'd lost all sensation. Got the shot eventually. But for one shot, it took a long time.
Genius stuff. What else have I done? I've been telephone message guy as well. I'm just looking through my little list here. So I remember we shut down at Christmas and the recorded messages. I ended up having to record the telephone message for that kind of thing. So there's always random things you don't expect. Yeah.
I think we should put these on our LinkedIn profiles, under the skills section.
Yeah, absolutely. All these, add to our list of skills. So what did we ask? We asked people on social to send us what they thought of this whole topic as well, and some of the things that they've got up to. We had some cracking responses. So we'll read out a few. Sally Williams, who was a guest of the show a little while back, friend of the show. Sally, this is a slightly unusual one, and not one that I can say that I've ever had to deal with. She says, dealing with aviation authorities to organise somewhere for someone to land their helicopter. That's not exactly something that happens.
Just showing off their helicopters. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, well done, Sally. That's good work on that one. Go on,
one from me. Our very own Director of External Affairs and Strategy, Mr. Cameron Miller, makes a fair point, to be fair. He says, don't all JDs include a phrase similar to, you may be required to do certain activities outside of your core role? And he's not wrong. That catch-all phrase that you find.
Certain activities can be a million different reasons, a million different translations of that, though, aren't there? Certain activities. Yeah, I get that. Linda Navaran, who I think is from a charity called With You Veteran in Lincolnshire, she says, I think any role, paid or unpaid people, can go above and beyond their job role and their spec or their job spec. If the person is passionate and willing, that's what seems to happen. The balance, and she says this is quite important, is not taking it for granted, but they will continue to do so. Acknowledgement and appreciation goes a long way. So even though all those things that we've talked through, it does make a difference when someone says thank you, doesn't it? It does make a difference when someone recognises what you've done over and above what your day job is. So well done, Linda. Totally with you on that.
Yeah, we're all close to our causes generally in the third sector, aren't we? So that technically not being taken for granted is huge out there. That goes on to Jade Passy, who works next to me in our PR department at the Brain Tumour Charity. She says that her role involves a lot more direct contacts with our community than I realised. I think this is something most people would say. Always indeed mentioned in her JD, but it happens to be one of my favourite parts of the job, she says, despite being one of the hardest parts too. Often we are very, very close to those we support, and we are there for them to support them, and we're there as part of the charity.
Yeah, it's work, but it's also a perk, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely. I get
that's a good phrase. I like that. Work, but also a perk.
There you go. I'm a poet. And I didn't know it. Anyway. So Catriona Taylor also got in touch with us, and she said that pull up banner putter uppera. It's a good saying. One of my top skills, putting up a pull up banner solo, and we've all done that. And I remember, I bet you we've all put up a pull up banner only for it to sort of not hook properly at the top and then snap back down at 1,000 miles an hour and take your finger off halfway down. Yeah, had that happen.
And I'm 5'4" and a little bit if the wind's in the right direction. So pull-up banners are always a comedy moment when I'm at an event. Yeah, I always end up having to put them up. The least able to do it as well. Brilliant.
And then Teresa Nightingale, she said, climbing into a musty mascot costume and being body slam hugged by excited children or kicked from behind the knees by more inquisitive children. Yeah, that's quality. I love that.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Anyone in an animal or a costume like that, I always wonder what's going on inside. It's probably a grimace rather than a smile sometimes.
Yeah, and also you've got to remember psychologically, you said, don't swear. Whatever's happening, don't swear. The creature doesn't swear. Yeah, the mascot
I love
doesn't
this
swear.
Next one. This next one is gazebo erecting is the unwritten job requirement for any fundraiser, and that's been put in by Farid Barry. And yes, gazebo erecting. We've all had that on our JDs, I think.
Yeah, with bonus points for windy conditions as well. If that's if it's windy, been there, done that. Amazing stuff. So thank you everybody for getting in touch and telling us some of the things that you end up doing over and above your job description. We've all been there. Random trivia fact of the day for you, Piers. Have a guess at this. What percentage of the voluntary sector workforce in the UK is employed by small charities with fewer than 25 employees? What do you reckon? 25%, 45%, 60%, or 75%? What do you reckon?
Well, I think it's quite low, but I'm probably going to be wrong. I usually am when you throw a question like this at me, Tim.
Do you want the answer? You can have a guess?
Yeah, cool.
Okay, it's 45%, which the reason that I've stuck this in today is just because that's a massive amount of people. So in 2021, just under half, 45% of the voluntary sector workforce were employed by charities with fewer than 25 staff. So that's about 413,000 people. So we talk about wearing many hats. It's the people who work for small charities that wear multiple hats all the time, who are marketers, who are senior managers, who are, shop front runners and all this kind of stuff. People who do all these different kinds of jobs in these small charities. So I think we've got to dedicate our first bites to those guys, I think, as well. Amazing stuff.
Yeah. Too right. It's all hands on deck, isn't it? We know this. Any event, any sort of situation, everyone gets involved.
So that's it for this, the very first episode of the Charity Show Bites. We'd love to hear what you think of it. Should we do more of these? Have you got a topic we should cover?
Find us through the show notes, drop us a comment on LinkedIn, tag us in a post, or just shout at us in the street, preferably with kind words.
Yeah, that would be nice. And if you enjoyed this, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out on our next full episode of the Charity Show coming next Monday, when we take a close look at charity collaborations.
Thanks for listening. See you next time.